Hi, and welcome to Chatting with Charlotte Live, episode 3 of season 1. It's entitled Trauma, Addictions, and Recovery. I'm just so excited to be here today with my guest, Cheryl, and I'll be introducing her in a moment. Uh, be sure and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my broadcasts. But before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. First, if you have a question or a comment, you can enter those in the live chat on YouTube or in the comments on Facebook. Now, if you're watching on YouTube on your PC, the live chat looks like this. It's on the right-hand side of your screen, and at the very bottom is where you enter your comment or question. If you're on a mobile device and watching on YouTube, you have to hit the live chat link, which is in the middle right there. And when you do that, it will look like this, and you can enter your comment or question in that box at the bottom. So if the second thing is that we will have 2 giveaways during the broadcast. And if you want to be entered into the giveaway, you have to type hashtag giveaway in the chat or the comments, the live chat on YouTube and the comments on Facebook to enter. And here's a sneak peek at what we're giving away. The first giveaway will be a $10 gift card to Starbucks, an insulated coffee mug, and 8 gourmet tea bags. The second giveaway is what I like to call our grand prize. And there will be 2 books from Celebrate Recovery. The first one is Life's Healing Choices by John Baker, who was the founder of Celebrate Recovery, and the Celebrate Recovery Study Bible. In addition, you will get a signed copy of my book, What Kind of Love Is This? Finding God in the Darkness, and a coffee mug and 8 gourmet tea bags. So you want to be sure to enter hashtag giveaway so that you can be entered in one of those, entered in the giveaway. So I'm looking forward to that. And stick around because you have to be present to win. So you're going to have to be here at the end to be able to do that. So now now that I've taken care of those housekeeping things, let me introduce my guest. Cheryl Luke is the National Director for Cultural Communities for Celebrate Recovery. And she is one of my dearest and nearest friends. And we've known each other for over 2 decades, which it just doesn't seem like it's possible it's been that long. But she's also been in ministry for over 30 years. And she has a wealth of knowledge and insight to help us or to help you understand all the different impacts that trauma has on survivors. And so today, and understanding that impact is really an important part of healing. And so today, Cheryl and I are going to be covering 4 different topics. We're going to cover the importance of story and how telling our story helps others. We're going to be discussing how the different options that are available for recovery, but primarily we're going to focus on Celebrate Recovery. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about accountability and why it's important to recovery and healing. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about how trauma and addiction are connected. And because that's a really important aspect to understand addictions as it relates to your healing. So those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. And I am just so excited that you're here, Cheryl. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am to have you here with me and to share this conversation, because we have conversations all the time. And I'm just glad that you're here to be part of that. So our first topic.
Glad to be here as well.
Thank you. I'm just very excited. And so I think it's fitting that you're here when we're talking about stories, because you are one of the first people that I shared my story with, and and I trusted you with that. And so I think it's fitting that you're here when we're talking about the importance of stories. And I just wonder, would you share a little bit about your story with our audience?
I would love to. But first, I just want to say, Charlotte, how grateful I am to be here, and how thankful I am that the Lord allowed our paths to cross over 20
Yes.
years ago. Can you believe that we have seen and experienced all the things that we've experienced in terms of recovery, in terms of healing? And we've walked through a lot of life together, and we've um, been friends through trauma together. And I'm really grateful that the Lord placed you in my life. I'm the first one of the first people that you shared your story with, but you're the one of the ones that helped me navigate through some of the pains in my life several years ago. And I'm truly, truly grateful for you and all that,
Thank you.
the wealth of information that you have. I call you a genius, and I truly believe that that's what you are. But
Thank you.
yeah, I'll share a little bit of my story. I come from a single parent home, and very grateful for the life that the Lord allowed us to experience a young as young children. And my mother was someone who was given to prayer. And I think looking back, we were not as well off as I thought we were. And I really had the opportunity of watching my mother trust God for um, um, the necessities of life, if you will, and really learned how to lean into the provision of the Lord as a young child, because I got to watch my mother pray and I got to watch her receive from Him. My parents divorced at a young age, and that divorce had a very significant impact on my life. And I began coping and soothing myself with food, and that has been something that has been a challenge for me most of my life. And I'm grateful that through the help of Celebrate Recovery, I've been able to get a handle on that, and I'm finding healing from food addiction, food issues. And CR has been a tremendous point of a great resource for me in my life, and I'm grateful for it.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we've shared a lot. That's
Mhm.
absolutely true. And I am equally grateful for you in my life. And
Thank you.
we just have developed over time a really unique and a really unique relationship. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later in the broadcast. But so why do you think stories are important
Mhm.
in to healing? Why is sharing our story important?
I think sharing our story allows us to connect and relate as humans. I believe that, and as it relates to pain and trauma, which is where we're going to end up later, I think you can look at somebody and not really know what they've walked through in their lives, both the good and the bad, and to be able to communicate the both the details and the impact of our stories, being able to communicate that to other people is good for us, because I think every time we share about our pain in a healthy manner, it brings a level of healing to us. I also think on the other side of that, it gives other people the freedom to share as well.
Mhm.
I don't know that I knew until you shared with me, Charlotte, that, and this was some time ago, but that one in three people have uh, had experienced sexual um, um, assault of some kind in their life, and by someone they know. Most of those people, and so we are walking around and living life potentially with people who have experienced a deep hurt. And
Mhm.
some people haven't shared that with anyone in their lives. And so to be able to open up and share what has happened and to find freedom from that it's what God wants for us. It is exactly what God wants. And again, when I share my story or when you share your story, it gives other people permission to do the
Mhm.
same.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other thing that happens when we share our stories is it helps people not feel alone
Right.
because someone else has experienced something similar. Even, and I think it's important as we share our stories to remember that everybody's story is equally valuable,
Right.
and that there is no hierarchy of,
Right.
well, that was not as bad as, or I didn't go through that. It's really, it doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma, and
Trauma is trauma.
is going to affect you. And I think being willing to share our stories helps other people have the courage to
Sure.
to do that, or to keep going, actually.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
I
So
also think, can I just say, I also
yes.
think that the uniqueness, as you said, the uniqueness of our story, I think can open the door for healing for other people. And
Yes. Yes.
I cannot tell you how much I've learned about living and living healthy by hearing someone else's story. One thing that I love about Celebrate Recovery, and we'll talk about it later, but in our large group meetings, we do a lesson one week, and then the next week we hear a testimony. And um, to hear two things. Number one, the trauma, the pain, the details of other people's story, um, again, makes me realize that I'm not the only one that has had pain in my life. But
Mhm.
I've also learned so much about healing and coping in a healthy way from hearing how other people walked through their
Yes. Yes.
stories.
Yes. 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 I think that's important too. And I think as we share our stories, it's important to share the whole gamut of it, is the struggle, but also the healing, and how we
Right.
got to the place that we are, because that's what people need to hear, because they need to
Exactly.
have the hope. So, so you talked already. I mentioned Celebrate Recovery, and
Yes.
Celebrate Recovery is one of the programs that are available for healing and for recovery. So,
Hmm.
could you share a little bit about Celebrate Recovery and what maybe sets it apart from other
Hmm.
12-step programs?
Yes. Celebrate Recovery is a phenomenal program. It is a Christ centered 12-step program for anybody struggling with a hurt, hang up, or habit, or an addiction of any kind. It is a safe place to find and foster community. And I believe that, again, I'm speaking from my experience and
Mm-hmm.
those that I have the opportunity to share um, freedom with. It
Okay.
is a place that gives you the tools, regardless of your pain. I think that when people hear Celebrate Recovery, they think about chemical addictions, they think about alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
But 1 in 3 people that come to Celebrate Recovery have an alcohol or chemical addiction. The other 2 people that come have an issue with anger or sexual integrity. They have an issue with food. They have an issue with codependency, life's hurts and hangups. And so it is a place for anybody that is suffering in any kind, in any way, to find freedom. What sets Celebrate Recovery from other programs, not every program, but other programs, is Jesus Christ is the higher
Mm-hmm.
power in Celebrate
Yes.
Recovery. And we are adamant about proclaiming the good news. We provide scriptures in every one of our lessons. And in our testimonies, we encourage people to identify the scriptures that help them walk through their healing. Celebrate Recovery, we walk through the 12 steps, but those 12 steps are accompanied by 8 principles, which come from the Beatitudes that identify each step. And so it is a phenomenal program. And if you haven't
Yes.
heard about it, it you can go to celebraterecovery.com and get information.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is a phenomenal program. And it was one of the first things that I went through as I really began to work through my own recovery. So you're the National Director of Cultural Communities for Celebrate Recovery. You want to talk a little bit about what that role is all about?
I would love to. I also want to say before I go there is that Celebrate Recovery has been in 30,000 churches globally and has affected more than 7 million lives over 30 years. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
it is it's recovery in some ways, recovery in a box. And we've got all types of training and leaders all around the world. And we call ourselves a forever family. And anywhere you go where you meet somebody that has walked through Celebrate Recovery, there's an instant bond that I think is very unique and beautiful. My role in Celebrate Recovery is I am the National Director for Cultural Communities, and I have the privilege of ensuring that Celebrate Recovery is a safe place for people of color to find freedom. And when I say people of color, I mean Black, Latina, Latino, Indigenous, AAPI, and other people of color. Our goal is to ensure that people of color know that there's a safe place for them to do the hard work of recovery. Our founders, Pastors John and Cheryl Baker, realized that they built this program, and one day they looked across the um, the auditorium at a conference and realized that most of the people in the room were white. And they never intended for it to look like that. It just happened to be a result of the way um, things ended up. And
Hmm.
so they intentionally set up this position, the National Director for Cultural Communities, as a vehicle to identify and connect with people of color and bring them into a safe space to find freedom and healing.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. And
It really is.
it's really been exciting to watch you grow in that position. So, yeah. So, we're at the point to do our first giveaway. And right now, we only have two people entered, but we do have two people. And this is what we're going to give away. You will get a Starbucks gift card, a insulated mug, 8 gourmet tea bags, and I'm also throwing in a swag bag as well. So, let's just see who the winner is. Let's go ahead and do the giveaway. It's going to be one of two people. Y'all need, who else is watching needs to go ahead and do the hashtag giveaway. And Deborah Dockery is the winner. And Deborah, if you will go to charlottethomason.com/contact and send me your mailing address, I will get that gift out to you sometime next week. So congratulations, Deborah. So hopefully for the grand prize, we'll have a few more people that will enter hashtag giveaway, either in the live chat on YouTube or the comments on Facebook. So I'd say that we have a few more people watching. So please be sure to do that so you can win that or be entered in that second giveaway. So, all right. So we've talked about stories and we've talked about recovery options, Celebrate Recovery in particular. But another important part of healing and recovery is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And, as I said earlier, I've known you, Cheryl, for over 20 years, and we've had ups and downs. But now you are one of my go-to. In fact, you're probably the go-to person for many aspects of my life. And one of those is accountability. But it took us a while to get here, didn't it?
It did.
It took us a while to get here. We have come a long way from that very first conversation we had in the prayer room.
Right.
Like
right.
over 20 years ago.
Right.
And so I just, just if you would just share a little bit from your perspective about that relationship and how it evolved maybe into being an accountability relationship.
Yeah. Our relationship?
Well, just relationships, if
Yeah.
you want to include our relationship.
Yeah. I think I will talk about our relationship because I think there is a beauty there. And I see that Kelly Mata's online, and I want to bring her into the conversation as well because she's been significant in my life as well. But I want to first start with you, Charlotte, and that is, I remember the conversation that we had 20 years ago. We both were in different places,
Hmm.
emotionally, relationally, and I am so grateful that our relationship stood the test of time, because there were some tests that we walked
Hmm.
through.
Yeah.
And I think that, you mentioned that I was one of the first people that you shared your story with. Pastor Kelly is online, and she is also an integral part of both of our lives and has
Yes,
been
absolutely.
significant in both relationship and in our healing. And we love you so much, Pastor Kelly.
I say
Um,
amen to that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But as it relates to accountability, I think our relationship is very special, Charlotte, in that, you were my counselor. You are my counselor. And so there was a season in my life where I really didn't know how I was going to make it. And there were several pockets of seasons in my life,
Uh,
and you really have helped me navigate life situations, people, in ways that I could not have done on my own. And so, yes, today we are accountability partners. Yes, today we have a relationship that I believe is very, very healthy. Um,
I
and
do too.
and it stood the test of time. But I love how there have been times where our relationship
Hmm.
flips, where I have the privilege of leading you along, and then
Hmm.
it flips and you have the privilege of leading me along.
Yes,
And an
yes,
accountability partner is somebody who's in the grind with you
yes,
and has
yes.
the ability to stand with you when life is rough. In Celebrate Recovery, we look at the accountability as someone who is in recovery at about the same level of recovery as you are, and can call you and say, "Hey, bruh, hey, girl, how you doing? Are you
Uh-huh.
doing the work?
Yeah.
I'm doing the work. Let's do this together." We
Yeah.
also have a sponsor in Celebrate Recovery, and the sponsor is someone who's further along the
Right.
road than you are, and that sponsor has the ability to hold their hand back and say, "Come on, you can do this. My hand is here. I'm lifting you up. These are my experiences. This is how you can walk through." And so, having those pieces um, um, in your recovery experience and in life, I would
Hmm.
say, are important and necessary. I also believe it's important to know that you can have relationships like we have, Charlotte, or that we have with Pastor Kelly, where one day you could be my sponsor because we've done so much life together. And
Exactly.
another day we can be accountability partners. And
Exactly.
to have those long-term relationships are, I would say, in some ways necessary. Not everybody has that,
Right.
but I believe that they're essential and God breathed. What do you
Yeah.
think about accountability partners?
I think they are as well. And yeah, and that kind of leads into where I was going next is that I think accountability is so important because it just, it oh well, at least for me, what accountability partner does, especially is when I'm struggling, I know that this person is going to listen to my struggle and not judge me, but
Hmm.
help me and walk me through it. And I think as in recovery, that's important, not that because what for me, what that has done, it's allowed me to share a temptation
Hmm.
to maybe go back to old behaviors before I actually do it. Right. And it keeps me from doing it. And I think that's an important aspect of accountability as well. And I think that's why accountability is important. And it's a relationship, it's a friendship, it's a trust uh, relationship, but it's just kind of doing the recovery together and doing
Yeah,
life together in a way, I think. And I think that's
yeah.
really very important. And
I also would say, Charlotte, that having an authentic relationship like ours, or like we have with Kelly, Pastor Kelly, we're not afraid to call each other up.
Exactly.
And
Yes,
we have
exactly.
given each other the space to do that. And, my um, MO, if I am struggling or if I'm not doing well, is I will isolate in plain sight. And
Hmm.
that means that I will take care of and do everything that I need to do in terms of my work and in life to make it day to day, but I won't show up relationally.
Right.
And you have called me out on that. Pastor Kelly has called me out on that, and I am grateful for
Right.
both of you. There's a scripture that I wanted to read, and it's
Okay.
Ecclesiastes 4, 9, 10, and 12. And it says, two are better than one because they
Hmm.
have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. I believe that Solomon, in his pursuit of wisdom, came to understand that few things in life hold more value than experiencing um, true, authentic relationship. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful for that scripture and what it's meant to me in terms of
Yes.
the
Yes.
relationships that
Absolutely.
I have.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's a very important, and you brought up a really excellent point in the fact that an accountability partner is someone you've given permission to call you out when
Right.
you've done that with me when I mean, you've pretty much said, okay, are you going to use what you tell everybody else to use or not?
Mm,
So those kinds of things. And you
mhm.
have done that. And I think that's a really important part. It has to be an account, like you said, accountability partner is different than a sponsor. And I think
Right.
that it's someone that's walking the path with you and is
Yes.
growing with you. So I think that's
Mhm.
very, very important. So we've talked about a lot of different aspects of recovery and things that are important. But many of my audience are survivors, are trauma survivors. And so I want to kind of end with a discussion on how trauma and addictions are connected. So, in your
Mhm.
experience with in ministry and in Celebrate Recovery, what have you seen in terms of how trauma and addictions are connected?
Yeah. I am learning that trauma and chronic stress can lead to numbness. It can
Hmm.
lead to dysregulation, and then causes individuals to become vulnerable to addictive behaviors. And
Yes.
when I say addictive behaviors, I mean, drugs, alcohol, sexual issues, anger, codependency, those types of things. And um, if you consider situations where trauma is present, I'm talking with my hand.
That's
If you
okay. I do
consider
that too.
situation consider situations where trauma is persistent with no resolution, um, we have to figure out how to numb the pain. People try
Hmm.
to numb the pain somehow, and you numb the pain, and it's just temporarily with alcohol or some of the things that I've mentioned before, um, and it can get to the point where those um, coping mechanisms become addictive.
Hmm.
And again, I'm going to tie the string back to Celebrate Recovery. I really love how we have identified that mental health and addiction go together.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have an area of ministry in Celebrate Recovery that a beautiful individual oversees. Her name is Sarah Stanton. She's our mental health um, coach and our national director for mental health, and she's been instrumental in training our team and our attendees and helping us realize that mental health is real and it is a part of the world of addiction. And we don't take that lightly, Charlotte.
Right. Yeah. And I think, yeah, and that's great. I think that's really important. Yeah. Because I think for too long that was not the case in terms of mental
Right.
health. And I think that's a vital piece of everything, I think. Yeah.
Uh, I also believe that, and you are the expert, you're the genius, but I also believe very firmly that we suffer trauma in our lives, and we learn to cope,
Hmm.
and then we forget or really don't remember that the trauma happened, or
Yes.
don't realize that the impact of the
Right.
trauma is
Right.
causing us to behave in a specific way,
Right.
or causing us to
Right.
go to get a fix or whatever that is. We don't
Right.
realize that it's connected, and
Right.
until we address the trauma, I'm not sure that we can take care of the addiction.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we have to understand the core issue and what led to it, and heal from that, and before we can really heal from and recover from the addiction. So
Yes.
yes, I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely true. Cheryl, I am so excited that you were here today.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun. And we've gone over a little bit, but and we don't really have any questions. But what I would encourage you, if you're watching, if you have a question, you can go to charlottethomlinson.com/contact, and you can email me the questions, and uh, I will answer any emails I get that with a question. I will answer them, and I usually do that fairly quickly, usually the same day. So uh, that you can do that. Also, I just want to remind you again to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the future videos. In April, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So my broadcast in April will cover signs of child abuse, and also will cover how, when, and where to report child abuse. So be sure and watch for the announcements on that. Now, the other thing I want to let you all know is that starting at the end of this broadcast, there will be a special offer for my book, my memoir, What Kind of Love Is This? Finding God in the Darkness, which Cheryl actually wrote the foreword to that book. So now you know who that person is. And you'll get a signed copy. You can get a signed copy for $9.99, and you'll also get the free gift of the swag bag. So you can go to charlottethomlinson.com/special offer. And that will be good up through March 20th, which is next Sunday. It's kind of a spring break special. So if you haven't already purchased my book, or even if you have and you'd like to get it for someone else, this is a good time to get an actual signed copy of my book. So, and then I would it's kind of time to do our last giveaway. So let's do that. I think we only have 2 people. So if Deborah wins the second one, she's still on, she has the option to say, yeah, I want both, or we can draw again, because it has a tendency to pick the same people, but let us see. Kelly, yay, Kelly. Congratulations, Pastor Kelly. You are the winner.
Congratulations.
Yay. Congratulations. So you get a signed copy of my book, coffee mug, tea bags, and you will get the 2 books, the 2 Celebrate Recovery books as well. So I just want to thank you, Cheryl, for being with us. And just be sure, if you're to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And then also you can contact me on social media. And I just want to thank everybody for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next month. So thanks for watching. Bye now.